Good morning. This is Sunday, February 9th, Steve O'C's channel. Good morning. This is Sunday, February 9th, Steve O'C's channel on TikTok. We are broadcasting live Course in Miracles today. And we do this every morning at 11 a.m. Central Time. One workbook lesson per day, one text section per day that corresponds to the workbook lesson. Every day, this live is recorded and put up to. Hi, Philip. Good to see you. Thank you for likes. Philip gets to work right away. Thank you, sir. And then what I was saying was every day this live will be uploaded to YouTube at Steve O'C's also. So let's start as we do every day, Super Bowl Sunday. This is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up very simply in this way: nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Okay, that's very reassuring. Do you agree? Nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God, that our natural state is peace. Our natural state is fulfillment. Our natural state is love. Everything else is an illusion. Everything else doesn't exist. It's not real because it was not created in the mind of God. So we have to work ourselves out of the dilemma, the conundrum, the impossibilities, Course in Miracles says, that we've put ourselves in. So let's go to lesson 40, Sunday, February 9th. 31 plus 9 is 40. So we're on lesson 40, starting with the first lesson on January 1st, doing one lesson per day. I am blessed as a son of God. Today we will begin to assert some of the happy things to which you are entitled, being what you are. We will begin to assert some of the happy things to which you are entitled, being what you are. No long practice periods are required today, but very frequent short ones are necessary. Once every 10 minutes would be highly desirable, and you are urged to attempt this schedule and to adhere to it whenever possible. If you forget, try again. If there are long interruptions, try again. Whenever you remember, try again. So this is very interesting. The course says the workbook is to enhance mind discipline. We are functioning with undisciplined minds. And so if you want to try an interesting experiment today, and being Super Bowl Sunday, if you participate in all of this stuff, that will be a very interesting experiment to undertake. Take the phrase for today, I'm blessed as a son of God, and as it says in the instructions today, try to remember it every 10 minutes. Try to say it every 10 minutes, which turns out will virtually be constantly. And if you undertake this experiment and you realize that you've gone an hour, you've gone 2 hours, 3 hours without remembering the phrase, I am blessed as a son of God, you will have shown yourself how undisciplined the mind is, how easily distracted the mind is, how easily the mind can forget. And this is the overarching dilemma. This is the overarching problem, that we've forgotten who and what we are. We've forgotten our source. We've forgotten where we came from. We've forgotten who we are connected to. And so by running the experiment, as it says here in the workbook today, try to remember the phrase every 10 minutes. Also, you can monitor that when you forget, and after you've tried using these exercises, practicing this mind training, as the course calls it, you might find also that you start condemning yourself because you can't do it. It's very difficult to do, and there will be periods of time where you forget. Then you can monitor the fact that, oh, I'm calling myself names. I'm condemning myself. One of the phrases later in the workbook is God condemns me, not no longer do I. So these are all the conditioned states of the ego mind, of the separate mind, of the judging and condemning mind, of the mind that compares. And so the workbook is specifically designed to point that out to us, point that out to me, point it out to you. And then there's all these different aspects in the workbook. It goes all the way around the globe, it goes all the way around it, and shows us where we're falling short. Okay, so you have to be very honest with yourself to really apply these workbook lessons and really stick with it. It requires a really large amount of honesty, a depth of honesty. And thank you, Philip, for continuing to hit that like button. It does help distribute the live. It does help after we turn the live off. There's all kinds of rankings and all kinds of stuff. So as you guys participate, as you check in, as you hit the like button, if you're not following, if you hit the follow button, as much if you share this live, all those things start to help this live, and we can distribute these ideas, and we can distribute the vibe throughout TikTok. So I really appreciate that, Philip. Thank you. Okay, so you need not close your eyes for the exercise periods, although you will probably find it more helpful if you do. However, you may be in a number of situations during the day when closing your eyes would not be feasible. For example, if you're watching the Chiefs and the Eagles, or if you're in the kitchen chatting, or whatever it may be. Do not miss a practice period because of this. You can practice quite well under any circumstances if you really want to. Okay, sort of that little condition there at the end, if you really want to. And that's another way to check ourselves. That's another idea. How committed am I to my intention? So this is quite a challenge 40 lessons in for the course to say, remember this, I am blessed as a son of God. Remember to say that to yourself every 10 minutes. It's quite a challenge, trust me. Hi, Jonathan. Oh, Jonathan's here. Good to see you. Yeah, Jonathan, 3,000 likes already without you because guess what? Philip's here. You and Philip are the like kings. There are two kings at the court. So get busy, Jonathan. Nope, that's great. But Jonathan, oh, you got the number 2 gifter badge. Wow. Philip is the man, Jonathan says. Well, we're all one here, and we're not really into competition. That's just some friendly banter. But as I was saying, just so everyone knows, the more participation, the more you just do those kind of things, the more you leave comments. Jonathan just got the number 1 gifter badge. The more you do that kind of stuff, the more it helps distribute this live. It just helps the channel and the ideas we're talking about here. Today's exercise takes little time and no effort. Repeat the idea for today, then add several of the attributes you associate with being a son of God, applying them to yourself. One practice period might, for example, consist of the following. I am blessed as a son of God. I am happy, peaceful, loving, and contented. Another might take this form. I am blessed as a son of God. I am calm, quiet, assured, and confident. If only a brief period is available, merely telling yourself that you are blessed as a son of God will do. And the other idea we can remember and hold in our minds is also that the Course says you don't really have to believe what you're doing. You don't have to be enthusiastic about it. You might even actively resist it, it says. But if, kind of want to undo the troubles that may be a part of your existence, that is part of my existence, that is probably a part of anyone's existence. And in fact, the Course says, by definition, that's the only reason we're here, is because we don't believe the truth about ourselves. Just applying the exercise, just trying to do the exercise, applying the exercises is all that is required. And I can tell you from personal experience, and I can tell you from applying the workbook for 25 years, 25 plus years, that it works if you work it. Okay? So that is the lesson for today. Pretty quick, pretty straightforward, very simple, as the Course says, but it's not easy, right? Very simple. I'm blessed as a son of God every 10 minutes. Okay. Then just see what happens. Oh my gosh. Because sometimes at the end of the day, you'll just sit down and meditate, or you'll have a quiet moment and you'll go, oh, wow, I said it a couple times this morning and then I completely forgot. But we want to take the attitude of, oh, isn't that interesting? Wow. An undisciplined mind, which you don't have to worry about that. No big deal. We're just going to have to accept the fact. Trust me, I've accepted the fact. Okay. I've accepted the fact. 25 years later, every 10 minutes, the Course says, do you think you're worth it? Okay, so your self-esteem issues can come up, all that kind of stuff. Am I worthy? I'm not worthy. Am I worthy? I am worthy. So now let's go to the text, and we go to chapter 6, the lessons of love. And the first section of chapter 6 is a short introduction, lessons of love. So both the lesson today and the text are both very short. So anyone who's hanging out, Philip or Jonathan will make a statement every so often. But anyone who's watching or anyone who's hanging out, I know Philip has told me he has not had much experience with the Course in Miracles. But anyone else, how much experience have you had with Course in Miracles? Are you a student of it? Let me know so I can find out if the people coming here are new to this or you've practiced with it. There's another content creator on TikTok. He goes by Way, W-A-Y, on TikTok. He's been through the course, and you could tell he cites it quite often while he's talking about things, and he's very well read in many other subjects. But if you guys want to extend the session today, put a comment up there or ask a question or make a statement like Jonathan has. Pretend we're all beginners, Jonathan says. That's actually a good point of view to have. Of course, Japanese Zen talks about the beginner's mind. Yes, so we should wake up every day with a beginner's mind. I don't know what I see. That was the first series of exercises in the course. I don't know what anything's for. I don't know what this means. So that's a beginner mind also. So here's the introduction to chapter 6, the lessons of love. The relationship of anger to attack is obvious. But the relationship of anger to fear is not always so apparent. Anger always involves projection of separation, which must ultimately be accepted as one's own responsibility, right? So whoever I'm getting mad at, whoever I'm frustrated with, whoever I'm irritated with, even just a little bit, right? I have to accept it's my responsibility. Dang. Anger always involves projection of separation, which that's an interesting statement. Anger involves projection of separation. So the ego's involved, which must ultimately be accepted as one's own responsibility rather than being blamed on others. Got to drop the blame game. Of course, we know that. Easier said than done, but we've got to drop the blame game. Anger cannot occur unless you believe that you have been attacked, that your attack is justified in return, and that you are in no way responsible for it. Okay, watch what comes next here. So we said anger cannot occur unless you believe that you've been attacked, that your attack is justified in return, that I'm allowed to attack back, and that I'm not responsible for it. Couldn't help myself. I just lost it, right? Guess what it says? Guess what the Course says about this? The Course says, given these three wholly irrational premises, the equally irrational conclusion that a brother is worthy of attack rather than of love must follow. So here's another key concept from the course, and this corresponds to the book Marianne Williamson wrote many years ago, Call for Love. Either it's love or it's a call for love. Therefore, all of my responses and all of my actions should be informed and should arise from love. If I think I'm getting attacked, which the course will tell me I can't be attacked, and I have to put myself in the mind that a unified mind can't attack itself. If I'm one with God and I'm one with everything, there is no attack. And also, my perfect self, my unified being, my higher self, capital S, has never been attacked. Now, you can hear a lot of spiritual teachers say that, particularly Eastern teachers, Hindu faith, or sometimes Buddhists will say that. But the idea is the true self, the higher self, is pristine. It's never attacked. It's never been attacked. Thanks, Jonathan joined the team. Excellent. The number one member on the team. Jonathan is the first in the pool. Thanks, Jonathan. Excellent. We are moving forward here. Hey, Philip, you can join the team too. Doesn't cost you anything. So, yeah, that perfect being that I am in the mind of God has never been attacked. It can't be attacked. It's as perfect as the day it was born. It's as perfect as God created it. It can't be attacked. So I have to think from there. If someone's screaming at me, or if someone just called me a name, or if someone flipped me off on the highway, right? I have to know that I can't be attacked. Now, it also said yesterday that there's two voices available, and I can choose which voice to listen to, but the ego always goes first. So always the ego is going to jump in there and go, hey, right? But if I ignore the ego, if I take a deep breath, count to 10, all that stuff, or if I'm simply aware that the ego is going to go first, I can disregard that first impulse, whatever it might be, and I can breathe, pause, okay, and then listen for the voice of the Holy Spirit. So, given these three wholly irrational premises, the equally irrational conclusion that a brother is worthy of attack rather than of love must follow, no matter what he just did, because he's a son of God. That's why he's worthy of love, not because of what he's doing at the moment. He's asleep, okay? Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do. What can be expected from insane premises except an insane conclusion? The way to undo an insane conclusion is to consider the sanity of the premises on which it rests. You cannot be attacked. Attack has no justification, and you are responsible for what you believe. Okay, so that's three answers to the three premises. You cannot be attacked. You can't be attacked. We just talked about that. Attack has no justification. We also talked about that. There's no reason to attack a son of God. My perfection is your perfection. My sinlessness is your sinlessness. And you are responsible for what you believe. So, I can choose. I can make a decision to listen for the voice of God. Listen to the voice of God. So it says, you have been asked to take me as your model for learning, since an extreme example is a particularly helpful learning device. So he's starting the voice of Jesus here is setting up the premise that what he did was an extreme example. And he relates this to the crucifixion mostly in this text. But what he did was an extreme example. And it's particularly helpful as a learning device. So we'll also say in the text, you can learn from my example. You don't have to go through the same thing. You don't have to go through a crucifixion. You can simply accept the resurrection, which is the unified mind, the new mind, okay, the healed mind. You can go right to the resurrection because Jesus already did it, and it's one mind, so it's already done. So we can go right to it. Now, this is important. Everyone teaches and teaches all the time. Everyone teaches and teaches all the time. Everyone teaches all the time. This is a responsibility you inevitably assume the moment you accept any premise at all. So once you accept a premise, you start teaching it because you believe in it. And no one can organize his life without some thought system. Once you have developed a thought system of any kind, you live by it and you teach it. Okay? So that's why whatever my parents believed, I believe, right? For the most part, for a while, right? My parents were Democrats or Republicans, or my parents were liberal or conservative, or my parents were kind and gentle, or they were angry and abusive. That's what I learned, right? Because that was their thought system, produced their behavior. They had certain premises they were operating from, and the thought system gets passed on. Once you have developed a thought system, learned a thought system, you live by it and you teach it. Your capacity for allegiance to a thought system may be misplaced, but it is still a form of faith and can be redirected. Okay? So you can have faith in the false. I can have faith in the untrue, in the ego. I can have faith, I can believe that I have to defend myself. If I'm being attacked, I have to defend myself. I have to argue back. Okay, that's a part of a thought system that's based on premises. But if I think about the premise, and if I hold the premise, and if I understand, thanks, Jonathan. Wow, Jonathan put me over the top today. Fantastic. Look at him go. Thanks, Jonathan. So we operate from premises, and if I change the premise, if I redirect my faith in what I believe, if I create a new thought system, I like to call this a worldview also, because it's global, it's the whole thing. Start working with the idea that I am from God. God is my source. It's a worldview, and then you begin to add other axioms and premises and principles to that, and so a thought system or a worldview is built up. Okay, and then there's part of the mind that's going to resist that, and then the practicing is about just sticking to the one side, the one idea, the God side. Okay, just stick with that, and it begins to take hold, and then the miracles which start in the mind, the miracle is that the mind changes, that the premises change. That's what the miracle is. Okay, and then it's simply reflected outside. So all the work is interior. All the work is inside. All the work is the real world is inside of us. If I can picture the real world, if I can imagine what the real world will look like, and I like to take it from the abstract to the specific. If I'm thinking too much about specifics, I want this, I want that, I want to go here for dinner, I want to be friends with that one, I want to have this kind of car, I want to have this house. That's all fine. But if I get too specific and caught up in it, because when you start thinking about specific things, as Abraham Hicks talks about, well, then the ego right away will go, yeah, but you don't have it, and you can't get it. By the way, you can't get it. You shouldn't have that stuff. You can't get that stuff. You don't make enough money. You don't this. You don't that. Okay, so before it gets too specific, or just God is good, I am fulfilled, all my needs are met, I have everything I need, I am one with the Father, I'm one with the source, I cannot be attacked, I'm invulnerable, I'm protected, all those things. And then you can find all that stuff in the Bible too. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. The Lord is my shield, my buckler, all those types of things. So it does correspond to the Bible, of course, because it's put in a Christian framework, the Course in Miracles. And yesterday or the day before, a couple days ago, it was talking about how the Holy Spirit reinterprets the scriptures because the ego will use the scriptures for its own purposes. So they need to be reinterpreted, because the scriptures are not about fire and brimstone. So even in the Old Testament, if you see a punishing God, if you see tribes constantly at war and all that stuff, a lot of the Old Testament is the ego talking, right? There are alternative teachings about Yahweh being a war god, right? They're always at war. They're still at war. Okay, but it's ego driven. So it still can be interpreted correctly, but it's the voice of it's mixed sometimes, and Isaiah's real good, and of course there's other things, the Psalms and Proverbs, right? But when you get to the New Testament, all right, that is the voice of the Holy Spirit. That's the Christ mind and the Christ consciousness, the New Testament. Forgive, be forgiven. I come, he talks about, I came to fulfill the law of Moses. Okay. And even then in the New Testament, you can see in that story, Christ is healing, he's feeding the hungry, he's taking care of the poor, all that stuff that's normally associated with being a Christian. And he goes, but still you're attacking me. So even even when we get into the Christ mind, and even when that Christ power starts to infuse us, the ego is still going to attack. So you have to have the key. What I'm saying is you have to have the key to interpreting the Bible or those type of scriptures. The Bhagavad Gita, you have to have the key to that. The Bhagavad Gita starts off, the first scene is about a war. Well, it's the war within us. It's the conflict within us. So Arjuna, who basically is hero, is basically the soul is talking to Krishna, the higher self, about why am I watching this battle? Why am I watching this war? My family's at war with itself. What's going on? So that battle's going on inside of ourselves. That's what the spiritual process is. That's how it gets represented. So we have to have the key to kind of interpret that stuff. If you go too literal, you get caught up in it. You get lost. It's mostly symbolic, which can be translated into the personal and the actual, but those are symbols and metaphors. That's the general key. Okay, so we kind of got to half an hour here. That's good. I got to get up on my soapbox and just talk. So Jonathan, Philip, thank you for participating today. We got over 6,000. That's right around the best we ever do. That is awesome. That's fantastic. That'll put me up in the 90 percentile for the number of followers that I have. That's what I'm told by TikTok. So you put me right up there, guys. Thank you very much. And thanks everyone else who came through and hung out for a while. Make sure to follow. Make sure to share the lives when you get on the live. And enjoy the Super Bowl if you're into that. Enjoy the game today. Enjoy getting together with some people and sharing some food and some good times. Okay. Thanks so much. I will talk to you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace and blessings. Love you guys.